Fatherhood is a fight, and I want to help you rumble right. My name is Casey, and I am attempting to provide values so that all the dads out here can fight for what's right, which is conservative values, Christian values, and family values, which are on the decline, but maybe got a resurgence in the last few months. So I wanted to cover, I've been in recovery for 18 years. I've been a drug counselor for a long time. I wanted to cover Donald Trump talking about the cartels as a terrorist organization. Now, why this matters and what it means to dads. Reading from the Daily Wire, President Trump signaled on Monday that after designating Mexico's drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, that they are now fair game for U.S. military to strike in Mexico's borders. So here's why it matters to me. First of all, I have 3 young kids, another one on the way, and this is going to be a prevalent issue because the actual grade and intensity of the drugs, because of technology that continue to come out, get worse and worse, stronger and stronger. And so it's up to us as dads, especially, to try to protect our children in as much as it's possible from being exposed, because drugs don't get any weaker. Nobody makes a mid drug anymore. They all go hard. And so these organizations, in limiting the supply, could drive the creators of those substances back home. It could be more rudimentary, and it would be more in the hands of people who care more to protect their customers in order that they wouldn't lose their customers, because the cartels straight out do not care. Here's another issue that comes about. I have sat with thousands and thousands of men who have lost access to their kids because of the substance use that's been prevalent in their life, along with other choices that they've made that are not great. So those dads have been essentially removed from all of modern society, placed on the shelf, and in often many cases not allowed to see their children anymore. So if cartels are designated as a terrorist organization, they functionally, reading from the Daily Wire again, they functionally control, through a campaign of assassination, terror, rape, and brutal force, nearly all illegal traffic across the southern border in the United States. In certain portions of Mexico, they function as a quasi-government part of their society. So this order will allow the Trump administration to at least make momentum toward an incursion against the cartels. This has been a scourge. I live in Dayton, or near Dayton, Ohio, which you can see in the background. We were classified as the overdose capital of the world in 2017, which probably was a misnomer, but on the other hand, we're acutely aware of the impact that cartels have been having on our society, and it degraded the entirety of our culture. Here in this Midwest Rust Belt, previous industrialized area, now deindustrialized, it ruined just about everything. Crime goes up, all those. So, as a dad, it is up to us to pressure our legislators to try to use whatever tactics necessary to stop the supply, reduce the supply, which will drive costs up and therefore will be a discouragement for people that might actually begin substance use, which might include, unfortunately, one of our kids out here. So it's really important that we try to support our legislators. Secondarily, it's a careful conversation about when do we talk to our children about these things. The DARE program, which was launched by Nancy Reagan, telling kids to just say no, and the scrambled eggs commercial on TV, that all had a limited, if any, positive impact. And so the reality of it is much more complicated, but attacking the reasons why somebody would be compelled in the first place to use substances is what's most important. So your children, if they're well supported, they're getting their lift, and what gives them energy, what gives them neurochemical benefit is present in their life consistently, they'll be much less likely to work into a period where they think substance use might be a reasonable answer. I started using when I was 12 years old, maybe 11 years old, and at that time I knew that I was doing it because I wanted to feel something different. So ultimately, if we are able to comfort but also grow and sharpen our children so that they don't need to feel something different by the time it comes to that age of consent to use drugs or not use drugs, that is of the utmost importance. Try to provide them with the exposure to ways to grow, ways to identify themselves, ways to overcome bullying or overcome other difficulties, and maybe your kids have a chance to not even use in the first place. Now, lastly, as a dad who is in recovery myself, it's a careful situation when to share about my own history with substance use with my children. It can give me a platform to speak truth into their life about what substance use did and didn't do for me, what the pitfalls of it are, and how detrimental it was to everything that I was trying to do in life. However, I remember when my father did the same for me, when he shared about his substance use. And that sort of gave me leverage to say, well, he's a man that I want to be like. Even though he doesn't use currently, he got out of it. And so there may be a way that I could do the same if I just dabble, if it's only moderate, if I'm able to in some way control it, there's ways that I might be able to get out of it too. So in review, support our legislators in order that they might be able to protect the border, the supply that's coming across the border. Make sure we pressure our legislators to do that. Even in Ohio, in the Midwest, in the Rust Belt, that's of the utmost importance. Second, try to build your children's lives so that they won't be in an identity crisis by the time they reach the age where substance use might be available, where they might be receiving exposure to it. And then lastly, be careful about how flippant we are about our own drinking, drug use. You don't have to be a drug user, but cannabis, with its prevalence nowadays, if it's around and you're their role model, that's what they will look to. So be careful when you expose them and how you expose them to what's true about substance use.